Hello guys, so this is the second video. So in the first video I did some introduction that why are we making this course and who can benefit from it. So you can watch that if you are still confused that why did you buy this course. And yeah, so this is the second video, and this is just a kind of a trial video of like explaining things. And also I forgot to mention in the first video that I will be coding in C++ and Golang. Well, so this is not only an interview preparation video series, but a course where you can also learn Golang via examples. So I'm planning to do that because Golang is a pretty awesome language and I'm learning the language these days. So I can leverage that knowledge to teach Golang also. So this course is quite beneficial for those who would like to learn Golang and at the same time through examples, and at the same time also prepare for the interview. Yeah, so it's 3 a.m. here and I'm kind of sleepy, but yeah, let's try making this video. So this is the very first question that we are going to try, and this is the two sum question. And so this is a pretty easy question, and let's see how we can approach this question. So here we are given an array of numbers called nums and a target value called target, and we need to find two numbers in the array that sum up to the target value. It's given that there would be exactly one solution and we cannot use the same number twice. So what does that mean? It means that there is one unique solution, that there are exactly two numbers that sum up to target, and that is why exactly one solution and those two numbers are not the same. So that is what it simply states. So what can we do? So if we write only a brute force, we can do this question easily by writing a brute force. So for int j is equal to I plus 1. Why? Because the numbers are not the same. So let's make a vector called answer. If ai plus, or its nums I plus nums j is equal to target, we return the answer after populating the answer dot push back nums I, and same thing we can do for nums j. So whenever we find the two numbers that sum up to the target value, we can just push them into the vector and return the vector. And obviously we can, for the sake of correctness, we should also return the answer vector, which is an empty vector. But we know that we won't reach this case here because it has exactly one solution, that is there are two numbers in the nums array which sum up to the target value. So let's try to submit this code. So clearly yeah, so it's a compile error because obviously we did not define what is n. So let's say that it is, so it is the size of this num. Now when we submit it, we will get, yeah, wrong answer. So yeah, so in the very first video I said that we are also going to, like we are going, like I will be live solving the questions, and in this way, seeing me fail, you will also get confidence that it's really not that tough to gradually approach at the correct answer once we start thinking in the right direction. So that is what the main aim of this course is. So yeah, so clearly it is saying that this is the wrong answer. The output is 27. We are exactly printing the numbers, but we are expected, the expected is 0, and I think we should be just pushing back the index of the numbers. So let's do that and submit. So clearly it is accepted. So this is an this is a n square solution, and it's getting accepted. So the bounds, the constraints are clearly low because the constraints are only 10 to the power 3. And yeah, so the numbers can be negative also, target can be negative also, but that doesn't affect our implementation or our thought process. But this is something that I missed in the beginning. And so this is another lesson, that you should always check and know the constraint, and if they are not defined, you should ask the interviewer what is the constraint, because that is a good practice and it helps us formulate the solution. So clearly only one valid answer exists, and it's given that the length of the array is 10 to the power 3, which will obviously pass. So the n square will obviously pass here because it's 10 to the power 6 operations, and that can be easily done in 1 second. But what if the interviewer asks us that we need to do it in n log n? So clearly, to do this in n log n, we need to see that what numbers we have already encountered, and what numbers we have already encountered, because what will be the use of that? Let's say, suppose that we are at number b. Let's say that a and b are the two numbers that are already in the array, that is the solution, and currently we are at some number b. So what would be a would be target minus b. This would be the value of a. And clearly, if target minus b is already present in the array, that is, if we have already seen this number, we know that it's there in the array and it matches our description, and hence we can return the two numbers. So okay, so that, and storing it in the map would be log n for each storage. Like whenever we push something in the map, whenever we update the value in the map, it would be a log n operation, and if there are already n elements in the map, and for traversing the array it's n operations, so n, and each time we are updating the map, so n log n. And so yeah, so let's see. So we will make a map of integers, and this is the index. So this is the index of the number a. Where did we encounter that number? So now we can remove this n square loop. So for I is equal to 0 to n, when we are traversing the array, we are just checking that if idx.count, if idx contains that element, what element? Target minus ai, nums I. So does the map idx contain this element, target minus nums I? If it contains, then we found the answer, and we can simply return this. Else we did not find the answer, and we need to update idx. So idx nums I is equal to I. We just update the index, and if we found the answer, then answer dot pushback, we push two values. We push the index of target minus nums I, and we push the current index, which is I. So this should also give us the correct answer. So this is accepted, and it's and the runtime is it is slightly longer, since the value of n is quite low. So n square is much faster, but here it's n log n, which is slightly faster, and yeah, and initialization of map, etc., it takes a little bit longer time. So that's why it's slightly more than this. And obviously the memory is more because we are using map here, but here no extra memory was being used, so the memory constraint is lower. So yeah, so these are the two ways to do this question, and that is the solution. You can always look up at the solution here, what is the brute force and what is two pass hash table, and they have one pass hash table solution also. And so these are the different approaches, and you can do that. But and I hope you enjoyed the video, and this was just a trial kind of video. This was the very first video that we did, and there are many more videos like these coming up, and in most of them I would break them up into two parts, where in the first part I will explain the solution, and in the second part I will code up the solution live, so that you can see me fail and you can succeed, so you can get confidence that even you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can. Yeah. So yeah, and also yeah, so the announcement that I wanted to make, which I made in the beginning, was like I would like to reiterate is that I would be coding in C++ and sometimes in Golang if I see it fit, and if I think that it can be easily coded in Golang, so that it will also help you understand Golang. And it's very similar to C programming language or C++ programming language, more like C programming language, and it's like quite hot. So it's in the market, and so this course would be serving two purpose, like for interview preparation also and for Golang also. So I hope it will be useful to anyone who is watching this. And yeah, and thanks again for buying this course, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.